Hi everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. Well, today is officially the 1 year Stitchaversary. Um, and gosh, what a year it's been. Originally I had planned a sort of cheesy take on the ABC, NBC, CBS special presentations. There was going to be snazzy music, and I tried it and it really ended up just looking stupid. So, decided not to do that. And I was going to make a joke about it being mid-season sweeps and blah, blah, blah. But not happening. So instead, we're just going to do a Stitchaversary. So basically, I'm going to go back through the year and show everyone my finishes. And I'm going to show my whips. Oops. I didn't mean to make noise there because I was just trying to get to Dropbox because that's where my best list of completed projects is. Okay, so the way it all began. Let's start at the very beginning. When I was probably 7 or 8, maybe 9, Mom was doing a lot of cross-stitch because this was the mid-90s and cross-stitched Christmas sweaters were a legitimate thing. And we were at a needle store that actually no longer exists, needle and framing store, and I got a kit that had some Bible verse on it that Dad really liked, and it was counted, and I'm fairly sure it was linen. And I didn't really understand it, and I got bored with it very quickly. Well, flash forward to when I was in college. I don't know if I've ever told all of this story. I was at Walmart and found a cross-stitch kit for a Tinkerbell, and I really, really liked it. And I was rocking and rolling on her pretty good, except for the blending filament. And then somehow it knotted, and I wasn't going to have enough blending filament because it was a little tiny, like this big kit. Wasn't going to have enough blending filament to finish the project. I went, I'm done. Set it aside. Well, I had been looking, so flash forward then to last year. Actually, year before that, so this would have been fall of 13. I'd been looking for a way to, I guess this would be the, I guess really to the beginning. You know, I live with my parents. And we were Mom was allowing me to kind of convert the front room to be a little bit more to my tastes. And there was a picture on the wall. Actually, it's not really a picture. It's a framed shadow box with, I believe it's my grandmother's baby bonnet, but it might be my mother's. It's one of the two. That really isn't very Oz at all, for obvious reasons. And so I was looking for something small that would go there. And a lady on an Oz group of mine was selling a cross-stitch chart. I'm going to grab it real quick. Because this is really kind of the chart that started it all to a degree. And it was this one from Camelot Designs, designed by Sue Marshall of Emerald City. I would still love to find the rest in this series, because I would kind of like to do the full series. Around the same time, I discovered Etsy, and I was looking for Wizard of Oz craft projects. And what should my wandering eye discover but, I'm just going to hold it unless I can get at. I'm not as organized on this as I was planning to be. I'm sorry, everybody. But the Brooks Books, Once Upon a Stitch, Wizard of Oz chart. The characters. So here's Dorothy. And I went, oh my gosh, I want to do those. I want to do those very badly. And there were other charts on there. And so I got this one, and I thought, you know what? This one is really fairly simple. I'm going to show it at a distance. I mean, it's not very big. There's some fractional stitches in it, but by and large, it was all very straightforward. It did have some metallic, but it was very straightforward. And I thought, if I can do this, then I can do these. And so I'm going to guess around June 10th, because that's where my first photo that I posted on Facebook is dated. And I know I didn't post a photo immediately, and I know I had to restart the project. Somewhere around June 10th I began it, and on June 28th I had my very first finish, which I have finally finished in a frame. This is one of my FFOs from the other day. I did 3 FFOs on Thursday, so I'll show those off today. But here it is, in a vintage frame, with a washi tape border, just like most of my other Oz cross stitches have been finished. And I'm actually pretty darn proud of it. Although nope, never mind, I'm just crazy. I was looking at it thinking that maybe my top stitches were different in this one, but they are in fact not. And it's interesting to me because my mother and my grandmother also do needlepoint, or did cross stitch, and their top stitches go the opposite direction from mine. And all 3 of us are right-handed. So, so I was very, 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 very proud of how this turned out. So, this was the very first project I did a year ago. And that got me started, going, well, if there's this cross stitch, I wanted to show it off, and so I showed it off in my Oz group, and I was getting ready to start the Brooks Books designs, which I bought from Cottage Needle, and I bought the PDFs. And I obviously since have bought the hard copies, because I really wanted the actual legitimate hard copies. So Brooke got double of my money. So I discovered the cross-stitch groups on YouTube, or not YouTube, excuse me, on Facebook, and joined a couple. And that was when, and so I started then on my second piece, which was Brooke's Dorothy. And this is the first time I made changes to a project. And the 2 changes I really made specifically were I didn't do the Yellow Brick Road because I thought by herself it would just look a little strange, and I gave her ruby slippers instead of silver. So there's sweet little Dorothy. And that was where it all kind of started. Around this time, there was a person I was kind of interested in dating, and their birthday was coming up. So for their birthday, I'm going to just have to show you a picture of this one, and there's going to be 2 others that are going to be picture only, because I can't find what the hell I've done with them. But my next finish was the Are You a Good Witch or a Bad Witch, which was Glinda and the Wicked Witch of the West, also from Brooke. I didn't make any real super big changes to the Wicked Witch. I did make the bricks under her in shades of purple. And then Glinda, there weren't intentional changes. I accidentally got off on my centering. So to make the yellow brick road line up with the purple bricks, I had to add like 6 rows to Glinda. So that bottom part of the skirt, that very bottom row, was not originally charted. That was just me adapting. And that was where those changes sort of began. My next finish, at this point, was a quick stitch. Falling. Which was the Little Stitchers' There's No Place Like Home, which has been finished in a shadow box frame with a needle minder from Gina and washi tape, because I'm a big fan of washi tape borders. This one also didn't have any changes. None whatsoever. I used all of the called for colors, and I did it on an oatmeal colored Aida. It was around this time in, I believe it was Cross Stitch and Discuss. It may have been Cross Stitch, and I'm not ashamed of it. It was a group I wasn't overtly active in. Someone mentioned the Frosted Pumpkins Once Upon a Time sampler. And they had just started, at that point, the Mysterious Halloween Town Club. So I saw that, and I went, I have to have this. This is one I have to do. And so I bought it. And it called for Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts, and I had no idea where to buy those, because I just knew DMC. And so I got online, and I found two places, one called the French Knot in Fort Worth, and one called Stitch Niche in Arlington. And I went down, and I got it, I had that weekend off, and I asked Mom if she wanted to go with me. And we were going to go to the French Knot, and I got to investigating, and French Knot really and truly looked more, and is, more about needlepoint. They sell a lot of the specialty threads, but it was basically needlepoint, whereas Stitch Niche catered to cross-stitch. So I changed my mind. I said, well, you know, they're really the same distance from our house. Let's go to the Stitch Niche. And Mom said, okay. So we hopped in my car and we went down. And it was this tiny, packed little shop. This absolutely adorable older lady named Kathy, who I've since learned is a lot older than I originally thought she was. But you would never know it. Owns it, and she was very excited when she figured out that it was I who was there to shop and not my mother. And at that point, I was really only interested in Aida. So we found an Aida, and we got my Gentle Arts, and we got my Weeks Dye Works, and I was very overwhelmed. I didn't look at any patterns. I didn't do anything. I just got what I needed. I got a Krennic glow-in-the-dark, because I'd seen on the Frosted Pumpkin Facebook page, someone had used the Krennic with it, so that things would glow in the dark. And so that became my next start, and subsequently my next finish. And officially is a no-soap cube that I'm super proud of. This thing was put together, literally, took me maybe half an hour at most. This was amazing. I found a styrofoam block that was the perfect size, and I just grabbed a fat quarter at Michael's, and I grabbed some ribbon at Michael's, and I grabbed some beads at Michael's, and I plopped some pins into it, and here we go. It's all done. And ready for Halloween. Ooh. This is probably the first one where I started to get a little bit more experimenty. I did do a few things. I took out the glass in the window on the bakery. The witch is wearing black and white striped socks. So it's a little bit more Garretified than other things out there. Also, at this point, I would be too confused to try and go through any whips that are still active, that I'm still working on, that I started during this time, so they'll be secondary. So this was my first finish from the Frosted Pumpkin. I believe it's also my only finish from the Frosted Pumpkin. But that's another story. Never mind. Anyway. So there you have it. This is actually really, really cute. there's been an influx of them thanks to Carolina and Tara C's videos. I actually had already intended on doing this. I just hadn't gotten around to doing it, and their videos kind of spurred me on. And I used the Little House Needleworks tutorial. So, although I'm sure their videos are perfectly wonderful and awesome. So, I haven't watched them, though, because I saw their videos and went, oh yeah, Little House Needleworks, they had a tutorial. So there we go. Yes, that sounds mean. I love both of you, so please don't think that I was meaning that in a mean way, because I certainly wasn't. So there you go. And I did discover you do have to use 4 feet, or else there's no way of really getting it to balance right. So there you go. Make sure you use 4 feet. Alright. So, moving right along, one of my next starts was so on my next trip to Stitch Niche, Sam Sarah had just come out with their mystery sampler, which seemed really, really, really cool, and I really wanted to do it. Also, Katie, real Texans drink the Dr. Pepper made with sugar. Just saying. So I got the something, but it was really expensive, and I didn't quite have the money to do the whole thing, kitting up thing at once. So they very graciously let me get the fabric, part 1, and the colors that I needed for part 1. And then, when it was time for part 2, I bought the rest of the floss. Which I thought was very, very nice of them, and still do. So that was my first time working on linen, which terrified the crap out of me. But about 10 stitches in, I went, ooh, I like this. This is where I first really learned how to use the variegated threads. This project taught me a lot. It was the first time I had to do one of those dreaded giganto moons. And here is it. It has not been turned into an FFO yet. Eventually, I will turn this into a wall hanging. Eventually. So, I learned a lot in this one. There were no changes done to it. I guess the closest change was I did sort of move some of the buttons around, mostly because the dot of my eye in something sat directly over a brown dot. You couldn't read it. So I had to go from there. So I had an absolute blast doing it. So that was my next FFO, or next finish. My next go from there was... I'm going to slowly be putting some of these things back in the bag. Snowy String by Lizzie Kate, which also has yet to be finished. And I'm going to borrow my thing real quick. It's too long. I was going to say, it would work great as one of these boxes, but I'm going to have to search to find styrofoam for it. This is my next linen. This is 18th Century Green from, I believe it's R&R. Didn't do any changes to this. I did it just exactly as charted. It was a really quick stitch. I actually feel like I may have finished it before Halloween Town. I feel like I did it in between 2 of the parts. But I don't really remember now at this point. I've kind of forgotten. It's been a while. But it was tremendous fun. It came together very, very fast. definitely something I would recommend to others to stitch. So, and I have several of the other strings. I've got the spring string, and I think I've got Buzzy string. I think that was one of the ones Kimmy gave me for my birthday. So eventually, I think that's going to be one of my ideas for next year, is let's complete all of the Lizzie Kate strings. I should leave this out, because I need to put things away. My next finish came in the form of Ho Ho Ho, which was my first beading project, my first Mill Hill kit. It was a gift from Kimmy, and it was a lot of fun. This will actually be going to my grandmother for her birthday. She doesn't know it yet, but it's going to her for her birthday. And hopefully it'll be something she can put in her new apartment and really, really enjoy. Hopefully. So, yes. There we go. My first Mill Hill. I don't know where to set you. My next finish was my first Nora Corbett. And that was originally the actual name for the pattern is Anna. I renamed her Regina, but in light of the Raven Queen, I think she's going to go back to being named Anna. Stitched on my only piece of fabric from Moe's. It's also Ada, which is the last time I'll ever probably do a Mirabilia on Ada. But there she is. All the beads and everything, including the... And the only real change I made was I did outline and do the swirls around the apple in red Kreinik, so it would be glittery. But otherwise, she is exactly as she was designed. So, and I had a frame that would have been perfect for her, but unfortunately I couldn't remove what was in the frame to be able to do it. So, she remains in a bag. So, Regina was my next finish. Which brings us to finish number 10, which unfortunately I cannot locate. And that would be my Ding Dong the Witch's Dead ornament. I need to find it because I'm planning to take it with me to OzCon as part of the competition. But there it is. It's from Homespun Elegance, or Handspun Elegance. Homespun? One of the two. And it was charted in Weeks Dye Works. I did it on Weeks Dye Works Peoria Purple. And I did all Weeks, and I did a few modifications to it, but not terribly many. My next finish, which is probably the finish I am the most proud of. Oh, crap. One of them's in the kitchen as well. Crap. I'll have to show you its picture because I don't want to interrupt the video to run grab. Is a welcoming spot. It's by Papillon Creations. I did it for my parents' 30th wedding anniversary, which was in May. It's got all sorts of specialty stitches. It was done completely in Gentle Arts with Gloriana silk for the white, and then some Mill Hill beads. So it was a lot of fun to do. I discovered how much I really enjoy doing specialty stitches. So, and my parents really, really loved it. So I'm still very proud of this. I know Kathy at Stitch Niche raved about it the few days it was in the shop before I picked it up. So it turned out, I'm very, very pleased with it. Alright, 25 minutes. This is probably going to be a long one. The next finish was Friends and Coffee, which says, Friends and Coffee make the perfect brew. Love you a latte. It was part of a group stitch-along I did, and it was a Christmas present from Angie. It was a Janlin kit. And the only thing I did was I didn't do the back stitching around the mug because I didn't think it needed the back stitching. And I had an absolute blast on it. It was a very quick stitch, very fun stitch. So there was that. My next finish was my first finish of Stitch Mania, which is a little gray hair, which I still need to finish. But since I have foam core, I can probably finish it shortly. But there it is. The little gray hair from Lizzie Kate. Took me about 3 days to do. Ooh, did it have beads left over? Did it have beads left over? Ooh, it did. And they're petites, I believe, which means I can use it in Watsits. Pardon me while I get super nosy. Oh, it doesn't say. Crap, I'm monkey. Damn you, Linda Ebright, for not giving me all of the information I need. And I've got a little baggie of random floss that's left over that I have no idea what to do with. So, yeah. So, little gray hair. This is a fun little quick stitch. I really enjoy a lot of the Lizzie Kate smalls. I'm not as big on the big charts, but I do like a lot of her smalls. I think those are a lot of fun. Alright, so my next finish was my Wizard of Oz. And I have to get a paper bag from work so that I can cover the back with craft paper, but here it is. I framed this myself using the pinning technique and foam core thanks to Tara C. So thank you, Tara C. If it weren't for you, this would still not be finished. So, but it's finished! And this is one of the ones that is definitely going with me to the convention for competition. So, there's that. Haunted Haunted House was my next finish. It was a freebie from Snowflower Diaries. It's on the same piece of linen that Ding Dong is on. Got no idea. Absolutely none. Haven't seen it in a while. It's here somewhere. But there it is. And then last but not least, my most recent finish, which you've all already seen, Scary Circle by the Cross-Eyed Cricket. So those are my finishes. When you figure 16 finishes in a year, means that mathematically, that's my camera. That is not the app feature that I need. 16 divided by 12 means that on average I finished 1 1/3 projects a month. That's pretty damn good, I think. Especially if you factor in a lot of my mini finishes from when I was doing my original Once Upon a Time and my original Storytime samplers. It also means that I have finished more than I've started. No. I have more finishes in a year than I have whips in a year. I have 7 active whips, and I have 13 finishes. So that means out of 20 projects, I am more than halfway in a year. That, I think, is exceptionally good. So there we go. I guess the next thing we'll do is discuss the things that went to hell in a handbasket. One of them is my Clouds Factory sampler, which is still sitting over in timeout. It'll be worked on. One of which was the Oz project from hell that everybody on here has heard me talk about. That one died in a fire. Literally, I actually threw the fabric away. I was like, no, I'm done with you. The other one, which everyone is also equally familiar with, is the Lizzie Kate Things Unseen. of which I have one part completed. Because every time I picked it up, I screwed up somewhere. I still think it's very pretty. One of my big issues with it, and to a degree with the bigger Lizzie Kate charts, is the proportion. The flower pot is bigger than the house, and that confuses me. So I don't know if I will finish this one. I don't know if I'll ever pick it up. I'm looking at it now going, you know what, I do still really kind of like it. So I may work on it a little and see how I feel. But, yes. So that one's been banished to the depths of Mount Mordor and the fires of Mount Doom, and there's a Leviathan guarding it with some potatoes. So, yeah, and you don't want to cross a Leviathan guarding potatoes on the Mount Mordor fires of Doom. Yeah. And then the other two projects, which I quit, but only because I morphed them into their own. One of which was the Storytime Sampler, of which I got the first 4 done. And Once Upon a Time. We all know the tragic story of Once Upon a Time. Yeah. But that's okay, because I'm really, really, really loving what I'm doing better. So, I haven't decided what's going to happen to these two. Alright, so, so that brings me around to my WIP. So you're actually going to get a little bit of a WIP update, because I've worked on Paradise Lost all week. So we're just going to kind of go with what's in sight first, and then we'll work our way over through our thing. So there's Alice in Wonderland by Soda Stitch, hasn't had anything done on it. Paradise Lost, on the other hand, has had quite a bit done on it. When I started, all I had was the middle part of the trunk, the branch to there, this full branch, and these 4 pairs. Or these 3 pairs. Obviously, I have finished the pairs, and I finished the branches, and I'm starting on the leaves. And I'm working on it a page at a time, so, and I'm going to hold this way back, because unfortunately, the Plum Street chart is just so small, I'm not sure I can really get it at a distance, like the completed one. So, here it is at a distance, so I'm trying to do all of one page at a time. The only real exception was I did go ahead and take down this section, because I needed a place for a natural break, because I was trying to avoid having any accidental leftover, like, seamage. So, and if you can believe it, I've actually misplaced the floss that I bought at Hobby Lobby the other day. I'm really hopeful it's at my grandmother's. So, yeah. Which, honestly, I'm getting a little bit ready to rotate away. And since I do have on the first Scream House starting, I need to do some prep work for it to make sure I'm ready to go. The next one, which is my current work one, and I am having to frog a little bit at the moment because I accidentally got off in counting, is the always wonderful Master and the Macabre. So here's where I'm at on it. I've almost got the top half done. So I just got waylaid with the roof. So it's going to be, I think, one of the ones I work on during Wine and Whips, because I'm not going to be working on Paradise Lost now. I don't know. I haven't really decided how I'm going to do that. I like Katie's idea of doing an hour on each a day, and then I can move on to whatever I want to. But we'll see. We'll see. So that brings me to the rest of the whips. This is C. Flora. I haven't done anything on her since before Mania. So I keep meaning to go back to her because I'd really like to finish her before Raven Queen. We've got Murky Manor. Actually having a moment of, oh my gosh, is this the color that I was looking for forever? And thought no, it's not. It's 11. That's as far as I got on it. It hasn't been touched in a while as well. And I'm a little worried about when I go back to it, am I going to remember what the hell I was doing? We'll see. I know when I go to do the video, go to finish it, I'm going to have to go back and find my video where I started it. Because I really, honestly, don't remember what fabric this is on. I know it says Weigert. This is better than knowing nothing. There is my blue jeans and daisies. Which hasn't had anything done on it. Basically, I'm not going to spend too much time on these because, quite frankly, I've done some whip videos lately and nothing has been done on them really since those videos, since that video. So I don't really want to bore you with this. And because I'm also getting into 36 minutes. There's In the Fairy Tales book by Soda Street. Or Soda Stitch, not Soda Street. What am I thinking? So, there's it. Alright, almost to the end. There's 2 abandoned projects and one that I will probably start rotating onto in a little bit. One of them is Winter House. This is the temporarily abandoned project because of the snafu that I have to fix. But autumn is done, and I started winter. Oh! Oh, is this... Hey, I found them! Why they were in there, I will never know. Haunted House and Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. Ah! Look, I found them. So there's Ding Dong. There's Haunted House. Yay! Now they can go in the correct bag. That I don't know where it is. It's down here. Yay, that makes me happy. I found them. I thought it was weird that I had lost them. Alright. One which will definitely be getting worked on during Wine and Whips, and we'll probably get an actual legitimate week focal, is my beautiful Leslie Tier Oz. Because I really need to finish this. I started it on August 6th of last year. And I haven't touched it probably in months. And then, last but not least, probably the project I'm really the most proud of, as is so far, of the active whips, is Watsits. And there it is. I'll give you another little close-up of it, because it's just so pretty. And it's funny because I pick it up and I'm just like, oh, it's so itty-bitty tiny. As compared to all of these others, which are on 32. And there's my 140 count. So, there you go. That is my year in review. It's been a year. It's been a fun year. It's been a bit of a stressful year at times. Um, I've met some very wonderful people. By and large, only really wonderful people. Um, Kimmy, Angie, Amber, the other Amber, Cassie, um, Letitia, Carolyn, Annie, Cindy. There are so many out there, and almost too many to name. Designers that I've become friendly with, like Brooke Nolan or Belinda of Blue Ribbon Designs, and I would attempt your last name, but I'm afraid I would botch it. To Liz of Dragonfly Lotus and Stitchy Box. To Lourdes of Die Stitch Love. And if I've forgotten anyone, please, there's no ill intent there. Jackie, Nay, the people I talk to regularly, and the people like Rick or Cammy, who unfortunately seem to have fallen a little by the wayside in my life. I've met some really, really fantastic people through all this. And not to get too sappy or sentimental, that's really what I've gotten out of this the most, is just the wonderful community that exists, and the joy and the pleasure it's been to get to know everyone. Katie, I'm probably going to randomly say names. It'll be like Liza Minnelli at a mixer. If I've forgotten you, please don't be offended, because there is no intent, bad intent there. It's just there's way too many people to name, and even if I sat down and wrote out a list and spent 3 days compiling a list, someone would get forgotten, because that's just, there are too many wonderful people. So I really and truly am grateful to every single one of you who I've met, who've helped cheer me on, who've commiserated with me over projects that went badly, to everything in between. Thank you. That's one of the main reasons I do this, is because it's fun, and because the community itself is fun. And I don't know why I just looked over that direction. There was nothing over there. So, I guess, to sum this up, this has been an amazing year, and I'm really looking forward to the next many, many years of doing this. So, I guess that's everything. So thank you. Thank you. That's all I got. No Dora the Explorer this time.